All right, you're watching Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwi, and now from politics we shift gears and look at matters to do with construction. We're looking at the state of the construction industry in Kenya, and we'll also look at the techniques that are used in construction. And to help me in this conversation in studio, I'm joined by Nation Okowa, who is the immediate past chairman of the Association of Construction Managers of Kenya. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mark.
How are you doing?
I'm well.
Yes.
We thank God for a beautiful morning.
Yes.
Yes.
Construction industry. The construction management, then there's construction management, project management. What's the difference between the two?
Well, I will say it's like Bachelor of Civil Engineering. You know, when they come out, we call them civil engineers and structural engineers.
Yeah. The
training gives them those two directions of becoming either civil engineer and structural engineer. A construction manager, primarily, we define them as they're involved in the business of construction.
Yeah.
That is the real construction work. They come at the construction stage. While project management or a project manager will come from all the way from concepts, from the design stage. So a project manager comes early from design stage all the way to when a building is completed and over. The construction manager primarily deals with the segments of the construction, the business of construction itself.
Yeah.
That is the fundamental difference between the two.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Now, give us an overview of the current state of construction industry in the country.
Well, it's a gloomy picture, to be honest with you. We have had a declining construction sector, I would say, since 2015. If you look at the economic KNBS, Kenya National Bureau of Standards, projections since 2015. Yeah. 2015, we had, I think, 13.9, not I think, it was 13.9% growth. We slumped to last year at 3.3%. Over that period of 9 years, I think it's in 2021 where we had an up growth in construction sector. This year, we started the year well, but we've had, if you look at the cement consumption throughout the year, there's been a problem. I'm waiting to see the projections given for this year, but it doesn't look good. The state of the industry it's dull, for lack of better word. It's in this steady decline. Yes, that is really where we are right now.
Yes, but there's a projection that the industry will have an average annual growth of 5% between 2025 and 2028. What might contribute to that?
Look, you see, if you look at our trends, if you look at how we behave, the construction sector behaves, usually after the elections, we should be going up. We slump towards elections. So you usually expect by around 2021 and 2022, we always have those declining growth in the sector. But it's behaved differently this time. Even after the elections, like 2022, 2023, last year, it still went down from 2022. So there are a lot of reasons why it did so. But again, we are 2 years past election. So definitely, if someone is projecting a 5% growth, well, I think it's ambitious. At 3.3% last year, probably we could go higher slightly this year. 2025, 2026, yeah, we could hit 5%. But there has to be certain factors that must remain constant for that 5% to be reached. So it's a good projection. It's really where we need to be, because if you are 13.9% in 2015, then by 2025, which is a decade, we need to be 5%. At least we are climbing. So I'm sanguine with that projection of 5%, looking at where we are. But for us to get the 5%, certain fundamentals must be met in the built environment.
Which are these fundamentals?
Cost of construction. We have this ballooning cost of construction since probably 2017 that keep rising at every opportunity. It's slumping the construction sector. At every slight opportunity, we are raising our cost of construction. It's becoming impossible for an investor to put in money in a cost of construction because of the cost of construction. Because you have a high cost of construction, and then you have a high land price. Those are the two key components if you're looking at your feasibility.
Yes.
Now, if both of those components are high the way they are right now, land prices is high because it's playing with our willing buyer, willing seller, which I think we need to have some look at it at some point as a country, because capitalism is killing at that area. But one thing we can have a grasp on, the government can have a grasp on, is the cost of construction. It is not sustainable. It is recklessly unsustainable. If it continues on that pedestal, we will still slump in 2025. That is, for me, is the key thing that we must address urgently as a country. Yes.
What about manufacturing? Do we concentrate on it because at the end of the day we want to lower the cost of construction materials? Where does manufacturing play a role in all this?
I think it's at the crux of it. Manufacturing is at the center of it, because if you look at our cost of construction, the key thing is the construction materials. And our manufacturing sector, unfortunately local ones, due to factors of production, by the time they're giving us the finished product in the construction sector, the material, it's always quite expensive than if I import. Now, there is need to support local manufacturing, which I agree with. But I don't think the solution to supporting local manufacturing is to tax imports in the construction sector, because that's what we are trying to do. People do not import as a luxury. We are importing because we want to lower the cost of construction by bringing cheap materials. Now, if that also goes high, and our factors of production locally, which I think is what we need to focus on, the factors of production, what is our power cost, our fuel issues? Why is it that if you import cement and bring it here, it's cheaper than our local cement? Or tiles, for that matter. Or just go across. Tiles from Uganda flooding our market, and they're quite almost half prices what you're producing here. Solution is not to tax tiles from Uganda. Solution is to compete with Uganda, make it cheaper. We are focusing on the wrong area. We need to focus on how do we lower the local manufacturing costs so that the sanitary ware we produced locally can compete with what we are importing. For me, that is the solution we have. But if we go the route, and now there's a proposal in the new tax amendment 2024 to bring an excess duty on tiles and sanitary ware. We're still going to import because it's still cheaper even with that excess duty than what is here locally. But the cost of construction is rising.
Yes. So there needs to be a way to incentivize manufacturing it so that this industry, the slum that is being experienced, can be dealt with. We've
talked about it for a long time. You know, if you look at the housing sector, for example, I think the only incentive which is there right now is the VAT, 16% VAT. The whole spectra, that if you're in the affordable housing spectra, you don't pay 16% VAT. I think we need to go deeper than that and incentivize, deliberately incentivize manufacturing so that we have cheaper materials manufactured locally that will begin to lower our cost of construction, because that is where the issue is. Our manufacturing of materials, the local materials that we're using, the construction costs, the costs keep going up. Yes.
How is affordable housing impacting the construction industry, or what is its contribution?
Well, I gave you a picture of a declining built environment, construction sector. But I think we will be in a worse state without the housing agenda. Yeah, we always say, give the devil his dues. We will be in a worse state without the housing agenda. Imagine with that 3.3% last year, we still had the billions in affordable housing in that slumping growth of 3.3%. Imagine if we didn't have it. We'll be in a dire worse state. Okay? So, may I always say this, it's a dream of most developing countries to have a government focus on housing. It's a dream of most developing countries. Our neighbors really envy us. Whether we agree with it or not, but it's for the second administration running, we have a focus on housing area and affordable housing. It's a good thing. We will strip cutting here and adding here so that end of the day we have a good formula. But we will be in a very worse state as an industry if we didn't have the billions in affordable housing in this sector. We will be almost grinding to an halt. So the jobs that has produced, whether we agree with numbers or not, but it has given us some jobs. It has created some opportunities. It's made some firms liquid, whether it's consultants, traders and all that. It's given us some cushion. So if housing agenda was not there right now, oh boy, we'll be in a very bad state as an industry.
So in a way it has helped to cushion the construction industry.
It has.
Yes. Let's look at construction techniques. Between the modern and compare the modern techniques that we are using as opposed to the traditional techniques of construction.
Well, this is a raging debate we still have in the construction sector. Alternative building materials versus our conventional ways of building. That is our brick and mortar. First of all, let me tell you, the construction sector is usually, we are only second to hunting in terms of digital adoption.
Wow.
We are only second to hunting. So you can imagine how badly we do. We are in a very highly fragmented, stubbornly fractured construction industry. It's a very close sector. It changes, it doesn't change easily. And I always say it's too light to make an about turn by itself. It sort of needs some reforms and pushes by regulation, legislation to make those kind of about turns once, this kind of new techniques. However, the problem we are having is this with the alternative building materials and techniques is the cost. Nothing still beats our brick and mortar locally. We've tried a lot of these construction methodologies and there's a lot of them in the country. But remember, our construction sector and those techniques are built on, most of them are premised on saving time. A lot of technologies that we have, even the global ones, are premised on time savings. Yes. But our construction sector is not set up on a time framework. If you're building in the village, you'll say, no, I'll build foundation and rest for 6 months. I will take 2 years. You're not in a hurry. Okay?
But so maybe it's based on the income that you're getting and the money you're injecting into the project.
Primarily. So if I'm going to give you a technique that is going to save you 6 months and it is twice expensive, you will not abort it because you're not in a hurry to finish. Time is not one of the factors that you are considering in this your construction. So our built environment primarily is not set up on time. Time is not one of our issues. It will be at some point, but as we speak, we are never in a hurry to finish projects. So I don't mind going brick and mortar. I will not go that twice cost because time is not a problem for me.
Yes.
However, as we project, as we go forward, it's going to be one of the fundamental things. So until we get into that sphere where time is at the premise of how we do our construction, then technology will play a big role. And that's why we are struggling. We are struggling in the construction sector to adopt technology. They are there. Another challenge we have is culture. Yeah, we have brilliant technology, but our culture, you know, and that culture, sometimes you look at it, it's based on information. Security is a major concern. Some of these technologies, if you look at it, you could kick the wall and get in. So you can't do it in certain places, but they exist. And then just the guarantee. I've done one of these technologies in construction, and it was on light gauge steel for roof instead of timber. It was twice the cost then. So the guarantee of I'm paying twice the amount, you're going to save me 6 months. Can you give me an undertaking of that 6 months? Most companies will not. Because they tell you, no, I can't give you because it depends on the main contractor. So why am I paying you twice if you can't guarantee me 6 months? So that's why we are struggling with technology. But we have some of the most brilliant technologies. And I think if you go that direction at some point, we have 3D printing. We have a lot of BIM, building information modeling systems, that are going to help us build better. But I think for now, it's like sustainability. We can't talk about sustainability when we don't have food on our table. We will get on those pedals also when we have the basics right, then we begin to say, how do we build better? Yeah.
So does it mean construction techniques in Africa differed greatly from the ones used in the West, say the way houses are constructed in the US?
They are not. You see, they are the technologies that we're trying to adopt here because we are behind them.
Yes.
I will tell you, I'm in the project management field. We have, for example, now we have Oracle Prime that if you go to South Africa, and South Africa is quite advanced of us, or you go to Australia and the UK, they are on Oracle Prime for project management. We are still on Primavera, which is 14 years old. We are like 20 years behind the global trend of construction. But one of the challenges we are facing is what I'm telling you. How we have premised our construction, we are not in a hurry. If you look at our public sector projects, there is no other urge. Time is not a problem for most of them. They will take their time. Technology is meant to help us build better. And at the crux of that technology is time management. So they are not different. What you've adopted currently are what probably the West were doing 20 years ago. We are trying to bring them right now. So we are behind the global, I will say 20 years behind the global construction trends. But we are very slow at it. We are painfully slow at adopting those techniques. Will we adopt? Yes. I don't think it's a matter we'll exercise choice on for long, because the threats we face in the 21st century construction industry are enormous. It's raining heavily now.
Yes.
For us to excavate and still build among the rains, we need technology on how we excavate and prop our neighboring buildings. We can't just leave it and put timber anymore and build. So this technology is going to force us, because of the threats we are facing, the challenges that the 21st century built environment is throwing at us, is going to force us to adopt, but we're very slow.
So the situation is going to, say, force the industry to reskill and upskill?
100%. For example, if you look at the wastage we have in public sector projects, time and cost overruns, it's unsustainable. If you look at our resources as a country, or we are struggling with financing these projects, we cannot have the luxury of having 25% variation on projects. But for us to stop that luxury is techniques, it's new technologies that's going to help us to build better and don't have those kind of ridiculous variations of time and cost overruns.
Yes.
So it's going to force us, because we continue to have limited resources as a country.
Can we say it's also part of what one may consider, or how the regional factors affect building techniques, construction techniques?
I think so. I think it does. A lot of this is influenced, and as I told you, we are in a very stubborn sector. Probably one of the most stubborn sectors in any economy, not just ours. The building and construction sector in every country is extremely stubborn in terms of changes. And whether it's a regional or continental, the behavior of that sector is more or less the same. It mirrors itself.
Yes. Now, there are things that I've seen. The houses I've seen in some places that once they are built, they are sipping in water from underground. Is there something that those people are missing in terms of materials they are using to construct their houses, or is just what you would say is negligence or ignorance?
Look, if you look at countries like Dubai, I think Amsterdam, Netherlands as well, has done a lot of building in the oceans. If you look at a good part of Dubai cities that are built inside the ocean. So what is a swamp? The world has some of the most brilliant technologies of how to build, not just in a swamp, but in the middle of an ocean. The problem we have in this sector is shortcuts. We like shortcuts a lot. It's something that it's bespoke to us as Kenyans. So, and not just those areas. If you look at a lot of buildings around Nairobi, and one of the challenges we're having, we're using the old techniques of construction, of waterproofing, to address some of the flooding issues we have. That's why we are facing those challenges. But there are brilliant solutions right now in the industry that can help you to build a house inside an ocean without leakages of water.
Yes. Or is there, is there a gap in the way that building and construction regulations are enforced? Because we see such houses are there sipping water and then in a matter of no time, a house collapses.
We have a big gap in enforcement. I think the last time I counted, we are probably at 52 laws and regulations in the construction sector. Of course, there are some that are still, we need to add a few others. But one of the biggest challenges we have in this industry is enforcement. When do people, the supervisors, the people that are supposed to enforce, how often do they do that? And the gaps you're talking about in terms of building collapses points out to that there's that gap of enforcement. Because even that issue of waterproofing or your house, there needs to be inspection by an authority to ensure you do it right. Because if you're going to do it for yourself, probably there could be no more concern. But if you're going to do it to house people, to house the general public, then safety is the center of it. And when it comes to general public, the authorities come to it. But how often do they supervise? Hardly do they do it. And that's the problem we have. Yes.
Because you will look at some constructions in some rural areas. A person just wakes up and draws something, and then boom, they start building a house. Then in no time, a disaster occurs and serikali's idea. So we need to have that enforcement more and more. And also, it also brings about the role of the county governments in all this.
It does. But you see, look, how many engineers are in, let's say, the south of Nyanza, registered engineers? Someone told me there's only one in Kisii County.
To oversight that county?
To probably the whole of that region. We are all centralized in Nairobi. The professionals, the real professionals. How many architects are in Kisumu County? Ask yourself, how many architects how many registered engineer or architect or quantity surveyor are in Turkana County right now? But imagine the person building in Lokichog in Turkana is supposed to build that building with the required standards under the law. Under the law. Supervised by a registered engineer. But how many are there? There's hardly any. So one of the problems we have, and I mentioned it before, we devolved a lot of funds, we didn't devolve professionals.
Okay.
So forget about even the buildings collapsing in Nairobi. We have disasters happening around the country, probably not being reported. But we devolved funds, we devolved a lot of resources, we did not devolve professionals, construction professionals. The closest we went to devolving was doctors. Okay? But architects, engineers, project managers, quantity surveyors, planners, okay? Landscape architects, designers. There was no attempt under the devolution to devolve these professionals to counties to assist in the supervision I'm talking about.
Yes.
So we have counties down there approving buildings because all buildings are approved under the counties. But there's no proper supervision by requisite professionals required under the law. That is a big challenge we have.
Yeah.
So we have counties running approvals, supervision of projects, but who is approving them?
That is a big question.
That's a big question.
Now, how do construction techniques differ from commercial, residential, and industrial kind of a construction?
Well, there are various techniques that, you see, if you talk about commercial real estate, commercial real estate are real estate that we do for business.
Yeah.
So that will encompass your offices, your warehouses, your industrial parks. There's no much difference because if there is technology how to cast a slab faster, I can use it to build my own house. Same technology, I can use it to build an industrial park. I can use it to do a mall or a warehouse. So the technology do not differ. They are more or less the same. If you have technology of how to cut a tile and fix a tile, that same technology can be used in doing a single dwelling. It can be used to doing a multi-dwelling mixed-use development somewhere. So it's the same. They do not differ. It's meant to assist the single builder and also meant to assist the multi-investor real estate builder. Yes.
Is there a way that reinforced steel and steel framing, reinforced concrete and steel framing differ in terms of structural integrity of a building?
Yeah, they are. You see, when we talk about concrete, first of all, there are classes of concrete. There's class 20, class 25, class 15, okay, and class 30. Yeah. And all those reinforced concrete. And there's a lot of technology in that area. I think if you look at, let me give you an example. If you look at the Sarit extension, the Sarit Center extension car park, there was a new technology that was used on those slabs in terms of the reinforced concrete. So there's a difference in those areas. But the classes remain the same. And again, if your column is supposed to take a class 30 reinforced concrete, okay, the science is the same. If it's class 30, there's no difference if it is a class 30 when you're doing your doghouse and you're doing a mall. Class 30 is class 30. It's a science, a ratio.
Yes.
So in terms of reinforced concrete, there's a big technology in terms of faster curing of the concrete. It can cure faster than you build and then leave it for 7 days, cure it with water, blah, blah, blah. It takes time. There's now technologies of how it can cure faster. It can be poured faster using like ready mixes and all those things. You add some admixtures to it, it can cure faster. So there's a lot that is happening in that area in terms of technology. The problem we have is adoption and the cost to it. And as I explained to you, those costs and challenges we have on techniques are very informed challenges. Yes.
Finally, what do you see as the future trends going forward in the construction industry, especially in Kenya?
Look, I think one of the key things is going to happen. We're going to professionalize how we manage our projects.
Yes.
That is one of the things I could put my $1 million shilling on as a country. We're going to get on the train of professionalizing management of projects because for the last 60 years, as old as this country, we have been very careless of how we manage projects. That's why we have these ridiculous cost and time overruns on project and delays.
Yes.
Okay? With our dwindling resources, as I mentioned, one of the key trends we're going to have, we're going to be very more conscious of how we execute projects. So that if government says a project is $1 billion, it must end at $1 billion, it must end at 24 months.
Yes.
That's going to happen.
Yes.
Because of the challenges we are having. Number two, as I mentioned before, techniques, these modern techniques of construction is not a choice we're going to exercise on for a long time. We will have to onboard them. If you look at the countries ahead of us, it's not a matter we'll exercise choice on for a long time.
Yes.
Because they're going to help us execute projects better, finish better, amidst the challenges. Because we have ballooning challenges, global ballooning challenges that we are facing. Yes. So one of the technologies we're going to have is just adoption of these modern building techniques. Okay? And with the clamor for sustainability, these techniques are going to be important for us to achieve that climate sustainability, this clamor that we have in global clamor. Technology is going to be at the crux of ensuring as a country we build sustainably. Yes. So be it Internet of Things, be it building information modeling techniques, be it lean construction techniques, these techniques are going to be adopted. So I see them, and it's not far away. I think in the couple, 3 or 4 years, we're going to import these techniques.
Yes. Your final remarks?
Well, our sector is not looking good this year. Yes. It's not looking very good. I know we're having discussions with government at various forums on how do we jumpstart the industry. Yes. We're closing the year. I think we need to jumpstart the sector as soon as possible. There's a general consensus amongst many scholars that the growth of the sector, construction sector, is tied at the hip with the growth of an economy. So for us to have a good economic growth next year, we must jumpstart the sector. And I'm hoping that in the next couple of weeks, before we shut down this year, we can have concrete discussions with government to ensure we are jumpstart the sector for the benefit of the industry and the country in the next year. Yes.
We appreciate your time so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming to the program. National Kowa, who is the immediate past chairman of the Construction Managers of Kenya, joining us here on Good Morning Kenya to talk about construction techniques and also have a look at the construction industry in Kenya. This is where we end this conversation. Don't go too far. Good Morning Kenya continues shortly with Vivian Ndegwa. My name is Mike Migwe. Good morning.